Next, the 2006 Green Party candidate for governor announces his campaign as a Green Party candidate for governor in 2010. This runs about 15 minutes.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Rich Whitney. Even the most casual observer of Illinois politics would have to agree that our present government in Springfield is dysfunctional and not genuinely serving the interests of the people. And it should be equally apparent, even more than it was in 2006, that neither the Democratic or Republican parties have any inclination to put the interests of the people above their own narrow self-interests and those of the powers that continually ply them with campaign money. They each cynically believe that all they have to do is continue to point fingers at the other party, and that way they can win enough votes to get elected by arguing that the other choice is even worse. But they are wrong, and they will be proven wrong in 2010. They are wrong because they forget that the voters of Illinois, now more than ever, have a viable third choice in the ballot, a better choice, their choice. That choice is the Green Party, a party based on principles that serve the public interest, not the corrupt practice of doling out political favors to the highest bidder. 3.5 years ago, the Green Party nominated me to serve as its first ever candidate for governor of Illinois. And this party came together with few resources but a lot of energy and commitment and got our slate on the ballot despite one of the most restrictive ballot access laws in the nation and a costly legal challenge by the Democratic Party machine. Then, despite diminished resources, little time left, and exclusion from the few debates that were held, the Whitney Samuels Green Party ticket won over 361,000 votes, over 10% of the total, winning established party status for the party. In 2008, we built on that success, running record numbers of candidates throughout the state, with a number of candidates for state and county office winning respectable totals in the teens, 20 percentile, and even 30+%. Now we are poised for even bigger breakthroughs in 2010. We have grown, gained experience, and the people of this state are angrier than ever at the rampant corruption, paralysis, and lack of responsiveness to the needs of the people in Springfield. And it is because of that rampant corruption, paralysis, and lack of responsiveness to the needs of the people that I am once again pledging to fight for the people by seeking the nomination of the Green Party as its candidate for governor in 2010. Now, in light of the recent history of Illinois politics, it would be very easy, even tempting, for me to just point fingers at the previous two elected governors and say, see, the Republican leadership was crooked and corrupt, and the Democratic leadership is crooked and corrupt. Now our state budget is a disaster, and all they are doing is falling out like a gang of thieves. Isn't that reason enough to give the Green Party leadership a chance? Now, that argument is not without force, but I do not want to base this campaign on the simple notion, true as it is, that I'm not one of them. This campaign will be about demonstrating to the voters that I am one of you. It will say to the working people, the farmers, the working business owners, the disenfranchised, disillusioned, and disadvantaged of this state, that for once you have a real chance to elect a governor and other Green candidates who don't play politics to the highest bidder, who will genuinely stand up for you, your needs, your interests, the policies that you have been demanding. The most frustrating aspect about politics today, both in Illinois and nationally, is the disconnect between what the people need and want and demand and what they are told is politically feasible. For years, we have had a crying need for tax and budget reform in this state. The majority of the people know that we need a more progressive tax system that can adequately fund education at all levels, pay our bills, fund our pensions, support our infrastructure, and provide essential social services. For years, it's been known that an income tax for property tax swap along the lines of House Bill 750 would go a long way toward solving those problems. A majority of the public, once they understand it, do support it. And yet the bill never moves forward. The people are told it's not politically feasible, as if the present fiscal disaster is somehow more politically feasible. A majority of the people favor a single-payer health care system, a publicly funded, publicly accountable universal health care system like that enjoyed by most industrialized, civilized nations in the world. And yet, both nationally and in Illinois, where we have House Bill 311 waiting in committee again, they are told that single-payer health care is not politically feasible. Most informed people know that to revive our economy, we need a genuine restructuring of its foundation, from one based on corporate, big bank, and insurance domination and reliance on fossil fuels, to one based on homegrown, socially useful industry, a healthy public sector where it is needed, sustainable agriculture focused on local and regional use, and a sustainable energy and transportation system that can save us money, save our health, and save the planet from the disaster and progress known as global warming. But instead of the major concerted effort that the times demand on the scale of the New Deal or World War II, the people struggle to win baby steps from our government, both nationally and in Illinois. A majority of people in this country long ago turned against the illegal invasion and occupation of Iraq and Afghanistan. And yet, despite voting for what they thought was change in 2006 and 2008, there we remain with no end in sight, and hundreds of billions of dollars of tax-paying money being diverted to those efforts. And I remind you that this is a state issue as well as a federal issue, not only because of the loss of funds to our state, but just this week, 3 more Illinois National Guardsmen lost their lives in Afghanistan, sacrificed to occupy and control another sovereign nation instead of serving at home. In these and other cases, what is it that stands between the will of the people and the needs of the people on the one hand and what is supposed to be their government? It is an institutional barrier, the barrier of the so-called two-party system, the barrier of big finance, big oil, big pharmaceutical, and other corporate money, buying and controlling the Democratic and Republican parties and their candidates, and they, in turn, controlling government in the service of these same moneyed